Business Network. So much for one broadcast.
Infrastructure deficit remains a key issue that continues to affect the growth and development of the Nigerian economy. This is a call to the Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission, the ICRC, to ensure that the public-private partnership is more productive to fill the huge infrastructural gap in the country. Hello everyone, this is another mega package of the EOM Business Network. I am Ethel Okpala. On today's episode, we shall kick off with the news segment, thereafter the Nigerian economy, and on the spot on, the Chairman Chief Executive Officer of Jomaco Holdings Limited, no other person than Chief Matthew Jomaco, and on the face-to-face, the Chairman Chief Executive Officer of G.G.I International Nigeria Limited, no other person than Engineer Dr. Innocent Akuvwe. It promises to be incisive. Let's go there.
The Proudly Nigerian campaign is an initiative committed towards locating, identifying, recognizing, and promoting outstanding Nigerian individuals and organizations, both domiciled in the country and in the diaspora, for their positive contributions towards the continuous growth and development of Nigerians and the brand Nigeria. The campaign also aims to create an enviable environment which will ensure that the creativity of Nigerians is adequately recognized, particularly in the sphere of producing local whole content, goods and services.
Nigeria is our country, and if we want it to be good, we will make it good. If we want it to be developed, we will play a role to make it developed. If we want it to be a peaceful country, everybody has a role to play, from the government to the people.
It is also established to recognize the need to encourage more productivity from the teeming Nigerians, both in the country and in the diaspora, who are brimming with ideas that could change the paradigm of Nigeria for good. It is against this background that the Proudly Nigerian Campaign Organization is embarking on a media tour to select strategic print media publications to solicit for their partnerships towards sensitizing the populace on the need to be Proudly Nigerian always. Proudly Nigerian Campaign, great nation, great opportunities.
Industry operators in Nigeria have continued to evaluate the ease of doing business in the country. Tony Oswago, Managing Director of CALAYA Engineering Services Limited, has expressed appreciation for the contributions of the oil and gas sector to the nation's economy. He, however, identified poor government regulations as one of the major challenges facing the sector. Oswago further revealed that his company is planning to launch products to create employment opportunities for Nigerians.
In our country, we know that the oil and gas is the hub so far. I will say that definitely I will praise it because as states now with the way things internationally things are going, the oil and gas industry is really driving so stronger, and also trying to encourage as well most companies, most indigenous companies that now you need to compete with some of these IOCs. Before we have like Schlumberger, Halliburton, Weatherford, but these days you easily find these guys in because what they can do, Nigerian companies definitely can, because it's through the oil and gas all these things start coming up. But if not that, some of the factors, some of this engineering stuff, we can see them within the country. But the oil and gas is the hub that started this drive. And you can see within everywhere you see now that local content are really making impact. I know they started with the oil and gas, but are trying to shift it to the power sector and the refinery. So far, I give them kudos. There are a lot of challenges facing it. But so far, we know that looking at it, it's not that regulated in this system. In this sense, most of the IOCs, most of the IOCs, I would say per se, have different way they operate on a different angle. So these challenges have made people decide to do whatever they feel they can do because the government's regulatory body are not really emphasizing some of the what was supposed to be done. So far, I think as it is, the government are trying to sit up to work on that, but we still have a long way to go, and we hope that definitely in the short while with what's on ground, what they're trying to do, I think they are coming up to do something. In the near future, we know that the way the oil and gas is going and the price of oil is going down and the renewable energy is now coming to stay, and definitely if we like it or not, it's cost effective, and also they say we should go green now, so that's what everybody's going to. So we have already started in plan to set up, we are already setting up the system, and we are looking at by this time next year we're going to launch our own type of, we are diverting to renewable energy, that's going to help also to boost the economy of the nation as well to create also jobs in this system. It's going to be the first of its kind in Africa.
Still on the influence of the private sector in Nigeria, Louis Onyejaka, Managing Director of GREENSHARK Investment Limited, spoke on the influence of the sector with particular reference to the housing industry. Onyejaka expressed this view during an exclusive interview with EOM Business Network News correspondents in his Abuja office.
When you read a lot of government pronouncements, there have been, I know of issues of where they have provided funds through mortgage houses and through other avenues. But the question still remains, does the funds actually get to where it is supposed to get? So you cannot say that the government have not been supportive, but the people in government, have they been supportive? Those are two different issues. In that sense, you see that a lot of developers don't get access to the funds and other incentives provided for the government. So they drive it themselves. So I can tell you rightfully that in as much as the government has good intentions, it is the private sector that drives the real estate. Everything about the land use is well spelled out, but it will take you 2 years to get a CFO. In a situation where you want to leverage on the property to maybe get a bank for facility to develop further properties, you cannot. So those are the frustrations. Most developers have to work with their own funds. Whether it's your own or whether you get a facility from the bank, the cost remains there. Those are the problems. So the Land Use Act is okay on its own, but the issue of the processes of getting a CFO should also be okay. In America, it takes 4 days, but here it takes 2 years and sometimes more. It is not because the government have not mapped out how these things should be done, but the people who are in charge have put bottlenecks here and there.
In a related development, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of MICHEAL Homes, Michael Odili, has urged government and banks to support the housing industry by making funds easily accessible so as to tackle the issue of housing deficit in Nigeria.
When we talk about challenges, government policies are one. There are some policies that will enable you, there are some that will either crash you. And two, the raising funds. The banks are not really willing to lend. And for those that are willing to lend, the criteria are very, very stringent. And we know that real estate, you cannot lose out from real estate. It's a win-win situation all over the world. And looking at the banks, we urge the banks and the government to support real estate so that we can reduce the housing deficit in Nigeria. And the major challenge is funds raising. If there are availability of funds, even when the funds are there, the interest attached to these funds are quite high. So I will urge the government to see if they can create a platform where real estate developers can have access to funds at a very reduced rate.
Fumi Rotiba, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Special Tours and Travels Limited, believes that Nigeria can attract tourists from all over the world if government takes adequate steps to develop the tourism sector.
Tourism in the world is a raw material that a lot of countries are just unwrapping or they're just tapping into. I have so many countries that can give example of that. They don't have much things, but they are tapping from tourism. South Africa, for example, they have inflow of Nigerians to that country in the last 5-10 years. They've been making money through tourism. Especially in Nigeria, we're looking at oil alone. Oil and gas, and that's the only thing they're looking at. They're not tapping really well into tourism.
Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Nigeria Pipes Limited, Indrajit Singh, has identified scarcity of foreign exchange and infrastructure deficit as some of the major challenges facing his company's operation and, as a matter of fact, manufacturers generally in Nigeria.
Let me put it like this, that we have kind of stuck to our basic values, and we have looked at always for a long-term perspective, not a short-term perspective of a few months or a few years. There's been times when things were bad, and my predecessor was very committed, and we took a lot of downturn in the sense that there was time when we did not have enough raw materials. The shareholders supported us. The major issues which we have is because all our raw materials are imported, we are highly dependent on availability of foreign exchange. Whenever there was a scarcity of foreign exchange, we had problems in terms of maintaining our tempo of business. Apart from that, the other problems which are there, not just specific to Nigeria Pipes, which have been there for the country as a whole and particularly for manufacturing industry, is in terms of power, the infrastructure, water, telecommunication, transport. We have been able to not exactly circumvent but kind of manage within those parameters on two bases. We have a very lean organization because we are highly automated. Our strength in terms of manpower today is only everybody put together from managing director to the lowest is 60 numbers in total, which has helped us in the lean times because we did not have too much overheads. Number two is our insistence on quality has given us a good brand image. Even when things were down, people were still looking for Nigeria Pipes products. Number three was we have had a very prudential, management which was very conservative in approach. We did not go chasing volumes for the sake of volumes. We looked at in terms of what our resources are, and we managed our business within available resources, which are financial or otherwise. We are very glad to say that we have been profitable right from day one, We have been declaring dividend for our 25-30 years of existence. Yes, it has been tough, but partly with all our staff and partly with our support from our stakeholders, we have managed the tough times.
Adeniyi Akinlusi, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of TRUSTBOND Mortgage Bank PLC, has disclosed that as much as there are infrastructure deficit issues with Lagos State, the state is still a symbol of the Nigerian dream.
Lagos has come a long way, and it also shows the direction Lagos is headed for. There's been a lot of landmark achievements in terms of infrastructure, in terms of population growth, in terms of housing, social services, security. A lot of things are happening. A lot of things that have been happening in the state, and in this 58th year of creation of the state, a lot can still happen. So it is something noble and it's notable. It should be celebrated. The cost of doing business in Lagos is quite expensive. If you talk about power, it's not only Lagos, it's a national problem. Power generation, power distribution. Power forms a major cost of operation of all businesses, whether financial institutions, small and medium scale, or even large corporations. It's an area we need to do a lot more. If you consider the number of businesses starting in Lagos, the influx of people into Lagos every day, every hour, a lot needs to be done on this to bring down the cost of power generation. Because with power, you can have more people generating jobs. You can have people who are self-employed, creating jobs. The company can employ more. A lot can be done. Lagos will be, I'll call it the land of home ownership. Considering the fact that we have about 35 mortgage banks in the country, and the highest concentration of mortgage banks is here in Lagos, and by virtue of their operations, they impact on home ownership. They provide mortgages for people to own their homes, provide construction finance for developers. You could see, for instance, the Lekki axis. Imagine what Lekki was about 15, 20 years ago. We've had a lot of people, a lot of things coming up, jobs being generated, companies coming up, and people owning their houses. So a lot of people who live in Lagos, you have new developments. Look at the Ekpe axis, look at the Badagry. A lot of this has got to people who come to Lagos in search of the golden fleece. Maybe people will call, in America, they call it about, they say the American dream. People call it the Nigerian dream. Nigerian dream starts and ends for most people in Lagos. Once people come to Lagos and they make it here, make it in the sense of being fulfilling their dreams, you know that of course they have arrived. And of course, there is no way you can show that unless you own your homes. And of course, by the time you own your homes, it also helps with wealth creation. It helps in social being and then having interest in the stability of the society. So Lagos is the land of home ownership.
Still on infrastructure, President of Aba Chambers of Commerce, Industries, Mines and Agriculture, Sir Emmanuel Nwakwadolu, has demonstrated his frustrations at the poor services of the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company in handling power supply in Abia State. Sir Nwakwadolu, who is also the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Cone Oil and Chemicals Limited, made this revelation in an exclusive interview with EOM Business Network News correspondents in his office in Aba.
I say power. Power is the primary problem. Generally, in fact, the country as a whole, we can't do anything without power, electricity, steady power. That is the primary thing. And especially here in Aba, like for the past 2 weeks, EEDC cut off the electricity supplying to the industries we have here in Aba because they went to court. The court took a decision. Then they came back and cut off the power supplies to all the industry. Even right now, they're all running on genset. And the attitude of the power sector in the the EEDC is too bad because they based on estimated bill, they based on so many funny things. So we are not comfortable with the way the rate they are supplying the electricity. In power, we have the Aba hope is on the geometric because Professor Barton Naji established the geometric here, and we are praying that geometric will take off, and that is the hope of Aba. But I really don't know what is holding the job metric. But the last discussions I had with Professor Barton Naji, he told me that the problem is basically fund because initially it was a problem between Prof. Barton Naji and EEDC, but that problem has been resolved by the federal government of Nigeria.
In the same vein, Chairman of POLEMA Industries Limited, a subsidiary of Mobicin Interlink Associate Limited, Sir Ima Obi Onwa, has also confirmed that the actions of the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company has halted operations of industries in Aba for weeks.
If the federal government is serious about production, but the problem is that they always want to say what people would like to hear. But when it comes to implementation, nothing will be implemented. Do you know that 3 years since this is the 4th week? All the industries in Aba here are not working because of EEDC put off the light. They increase the tariff not based on government approved tariff. Then Industrial Association met and called on them that this is not what the tariff says, that they should go back to what we have been paying, which is about 35 naira per unit of light. This happened in 2015. They refused that some houses are not paying, that they are having shortage of money that they use in buying the light, that the only source of getting the money back is to increase the rate for the industries. Instead of having strategy on how to get the people that are not paying pay, they want to reap what the domestic houses are using to the industrialists that are battling to pay salaries. Some of them are closing down. So they thought that it would be easy for them to be getting money from us illegally. Then we went to court. Our lawyer put an injunction restraining them. The court agreed that we must be paying the old rate until the determinant of the case.
The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of BOSKEL Nigeria Limited, Keluo Chukwago, has expressed dissatisfaction at the way government has neglected the issue of waste management in Nigeria, which has posed serious health threats to the people and indeed the environment.
The thing that worries me most, personally and professionally, is the way wastes are being handled in the country. Municipal wastes. Municipal wastes are handled all over this country in a process, in a system that I call collect, dump, and cover. What they do is all the governments all over, they have contractors collect the wastes from various places, and these wastes are carted to borough pits and dumped. Then at the end they are covered, and these lands are leased out to people, and people build their houses on these lands and live on them and live close to them. The danger with that is that we are laying time bombs for generations unborn in this country, because what we are doing is we are pouring those wastes into these borough pits. Now the bottom of those borough pits are not covered in any way, and they are very close to the aquifer, as the groundwater, into which we all drill our boreholes to pick up water. All right. So what happens is that as these wastes are in this borough pit, they keep on degrading. Rain falls and washes out this material, these pollutants inside these wastes, and it will now leach into the groundwater and pollute the groundwater. So this groundwater is taken by all of us and used in various things. Now these wastes are continually there. It's not as if it's going to be brought out next year or next 2 years. So they keep on degrading and polluting the waste, the aquifer. This happens all over the country. Now that's why I say it is time bomb, or there are time bombs that we are creating for generations unborn.
And that's the EOM News.
A company would have their own heads and different departments and segments, while organizations are people where people will come together for an interest.
Company are solely responsible for people coming together to form a profit organization. Organization is solely like a kind of society willingly to come and organize themselves for community, for development.
A company could have a Corporate Affairs Commission registration under the Nigerian Constitution, while an organization might not really be registered under the Corporate Affairs Commission of the country.
According to evaluations from global economic findings, the establishment of social infrastructures like electricity, roads, health, communication, transportation systems, physical structures, as well as friendly tax regimes, and so on, is essential to achieving a friendly, conducive, and thriving business environment. In fact, some of the major causes of Nigerian economic underdevelopment include infrastructure deficits, inadequate implementation of developmental policies, and unfriendly tax regimes, among others. Economic experts have therefore suggested that for Nigerians' recovery plans and actions to rebound exponentially, to revamp the current economic challenge and indeed compete favorable in the cycle of economic powers, about 25% of its GDP must be constantly and sincerely dedicated to infrastructure development over the next 10 years. EOM Business Network spoke to a cross-section of industry players on the challenges of doing businesses in Nigeria.
Obinna Uchendu is the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Poseidon Energy Services Limited.
The name Poseidon was my late senior brother that gave us that name. As at the time he gave us the name, he didn't actually remember the meaning again, but he said that I should use it, he will look it up. So finally, personally I looked up and I found out the meaning of the word Poseidon. So it's a Greek god, god of sun. So that's how it came about. So Poseidon, as a company, was registered and incorporated in 2004, and we started operations in 2005. It's been a rough road. Sometimes we lose, sometimes we gain, but we've come this far. As a company, we want to be relevant in the industry. We want to make a mark. We want to be seen to be good in what we do. And at the end of the day, we also want whoever we're doing business with, whoever we're working for, we want them to be satisfied with our services. We want them to be okay. Then secondly, we want our human resources, the people that work with us too, we want them to be happy anytime they live here, or anytime they are here, we want them to be happy. So that's what we strive for as a company. Poseidon render different services in the industry, the oil and gas industry. Mainly we are into well intervention services, where we do services like coil tubing, well control, well intervention, stimulation, and other well activities. We're also into pipeline maintenance services, where we do pigging, pipeline pre-commissioning and decommissioning, flushing, all sorts of activities like that. We also engage in construction and fabrication, where we do facility construction, flow line, and pipeline construction as well. The technical know-how, here I'm talking about the equipment. Most of the times, 80% of equipment come from outside. Then you talk about the resources, because for you to get equipment, you need resources to do it. So okay, again, that's also part of the problems we are, part of the things that we face every day as a local company.
Jeremiah Ikechukwu is the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Alpha Plus Associates Limited.
We started Alpha Plus Associates in 1995 as a civil engineering and building industry in a company. Because our background is engineering, so I'm a civil engineer, and naturally the business I do will be in engineering and construction. So we started with that. And along the line, we found out that we find it difficult to source our interior furniture of good quality at the right price. So, and that we thought was an opportunity to delve into production of furniture. So we started that for our in-house use. So for projects we executed, we built the furniture, interior furniture like the doors, wardrobes, and kitchens. So we were doing that for our own use until at some point the government announced the ban in furniture, so we thought it was a niche, a business niche. So we veered into commercial production of furniture. We developed passion for the furniture, and that tends to take a lot of my time now. Not because of the amount of money to make from there, but because of the passion I have for it myself. Vision and mission is just to deliver top quality, top-notch products, be it in the building industry, or in the furniture industry. So that still remains our main focal point, to deliver quality, all the time. Absolutely, any clamor for government to stop patronizing foreign-made furniture is just being patriotic, and the least the government should do. I mean, because they started in the first place, they incited people into investing in this industry because they said they have banned the importation of furniture. So if a group of people come up with that demonstration, I mean, that's just being patriotic. But more than just that, Nigerians have evolved, especially the furniture manufacturers in Nigeria. They have evolved, a great deal in the last decade when the announcement was made, and they have started producing very good quality. I understand, of course, there are so many raw materials, that you cannot manufacture here. I mean, there are some raw materials that, let me say, pre-finished raw materials, that you need for furniture production that will still need to be imported. Everywhere in the world, some components of furniture is imported from one way or the other. So what you just do is manufacture those you have comparative advantage on, and those you cannot manufacture, you source from somewhere else. But the most important thing, you are creating value. I mean, the value chain allows you to put value to whatever components you have imported from somewhere else. And of course, you need foreign exchange to do all those. And the challenges are there. We have had all kinds of difficulties in Nigeria, especially in the last 2 years that we went into recession, and scarcity of foreign exchange, exorbitant cost of the alternative foreign exchange from alternative markets and all that. And government ban on some components of production of furniture, they put in the 41 list. Not ban, really, it's just about restricting foreign exchange availability for those areas. So these are some of the
Nnamdi Ikune is the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Global Lordnaco Nigeria Limited.
Company Global Lordnaco was fully registered in CSC in the year 1999. But then our operation is into marketing of building materials, just like aluminium doors, tiles, and rest of them. We are destined to be into this manufacturing industry. The realization of that destiny came in the year 2007. Then the company entered into manufacturing. And there we have the brand, as you can see today, called Forever Paint and the rest of them. Our vision is actually to make sure that we partner with our government of the day in reducing the unemployment and making sure that our youth are engaged in doing something, thereby reducing the vices and the other crime we can witness today. After you must have taken your bath, do everything without clothing, and then the beauty will not fully come. That's the way we see it in this industry. That when you must have built your house, put everything, when you haven't painted, I think the beauty of the house has not come. Thereby the house is unfinished. Then before we came in, when we asked people, most of them that we found that they finished their house but unpainted, and the consensus answer has been the cost of painting. So we have it in our mission that we make sure that we fill in the gap in making sure that after building, you must paint your house a good quality paint with an affordable price. Our major brand called Forever Paint. That brand will do all manner of paint. We do the satin paint. We have emulsion paint. We have textured. We have many of them. We have as well as gloss paint. Even the latest innovation, the one called silk. And also there's the one we also call satin, but that is of a new invention, not the old satin people used to know. And what we assure people, and really they have tested, so that is our customers of the quality of our product. You know, in those days it has been, before you paint a house, the paint must be imported, but hardly now you will see people talking of imported paints, because we have come in to fill in the gap. Taxes is the what manufacturers or workers their own dues to the government. After you must have put on all your work, all your effort for the day, for the week, for the month, you expected your employer to pay you. So I believe, and if you were not paid, you won't be happy, and even your input as per the work, you will be reduced because you felt being cheated. So that's how it is to the taxpayers. That you are paying the taxes just like me. After paying your taxes for the whole year, government you didn't see anything as the one that government should do. Then they will be paying when they say pay the tax. So all over the world, taxes should be paid. So for me, for our company, Global Lordnaco, we encourage prompt payment of the taxes, but government should do their own obligation. Our product is very, very accessible. It's all over the market. We have branches all over Nigeria. Wherever you go, where building material market, you can get building material product. I think for when you ask of our brands Forever Paint, definitely you must meet it.
Chief Matthew Jomaco is the Chairman Chief Executive Officer of Jomaco Holdings Limited.
Jomaco started in 1981 as Jomaco Commercial Company Limited in Lagos. February 24th, 1981, far back in Lagos. And he made inroad first in stationery and office equipment. Has many beneficiaries of this outfit in terms of training and in terms of service delivery, in terms of capacity building in this area. And that was when the world was going electromagnetic copying system. Then we specialized in office equipment such as photocopying machine, APECO, Scan African, Xerox. And then we grew from there to when the world now left electromagnetic copying system to digital. Jomaco Holdings came up. And since Jomaco Holdings came up, it has also made inroad into construction, renovation, and building. Because this is the in thing once as far as government is concerned. Government also need to pay attention to this area. They are doing their best, especially Lagos State government, where we've had building collapse more than any other state. Just recently, about a few days ago, a 4-story building collapsed in Ireland, and I have a relation that lived in that collapsed building. So I made inquiries over what transpired, over what gave rise to the collapse of that particular structure. I was told that the approval was granted for 1 year. I mean, for one-story building, just a story building. And then the man went up to 4-story building, the developer. Why? So government should make sure that they try to evaluate, to inspect, to ascertain every structure in that, not only Lagos State, but elsewhere. If you're able to do this, you'll be able to put contractors in check. And I want to tell you also that we are not lagging behind in this area. We have professionals, quantity surveyors, structural engineers, civil engineers, builders, architects that work with us in our firm. And they ensure that jobs given to us are satisfactorily, carried out. They ensure that the quality of jobs we deliver meets up to the Nigerian Society of Engineers standard. Nigeria have well-trained professionals. This problem has remained in government implementing most of the policies as it relates to the recommendations of these professionals in the field. About integrity, about quality of service delivery in our organizations, and about training and retraining, and about our customers that cut across ministries, agencies, and parastatals, public institutions. Enjoy our services, and they are home with us. They are home with us, where we don't have a problem of patronizing, because we deliver. What the problem we have, so to speak, the challenge, the strongest challenge we have is that of government fulfilling their promise in terms of payment of contract completed.
Engineer Dr. Innocent Akuvre is the Chairman Chief Executive Officer of G.G.I International Nigerian Limited.
G.G.I International Nigeria Limited was incorporated in 1991, September 10 precisely. Like I always would say, it was a gift both of us gave to each other, my wife and I, because that was also the year we wedded in 1991, May. That company was incorporated and kept, because then I was still a young engineer working in unemployment. She also was working elsewhere. Firmly in 1996, the certificate of incorporation was dusted out of the box, and then the company called G.G.I came to be strongly. So effectively, I would say we actually came into strong existence in 1996. But before then, we were running it a little bit on the ground. My wife precisely was anchoring it at the time, engineer Betty Granville Akuvwe. So in 1996, I had to quit paid employment and joined up as the first chairman CEO of the company. That was how G.G.I started, and this is where we are now. Our vision is to conduct business opportunities competitively, as a strong player in the oil and gas industry, in the process industry, within the Nigerian economy. That's our vision. What's our mission? Our mission is to be strong in this business. Okay? Like we will say, to engage actively in this business. What is the business? To engage in the business of oil and gas in the company, applying the best practices, the world best standards, the world best practices to achieve these set goals. Our set goal is to grow G.G.I, like I said in the vision, to grow G.G.I into a strong player in the process, chemical and oil and gas industries in the Nigerian economy. What is driving us here is integrity, consistency, and best practices. Integrity, because this is a company where we do not pretend to be jack of all trade and master of all. This is a company that started generally like a general supply company like most young businesses will do in Nigeria. And over time, we began to grow and begin to narrow down on what we're doing. I'm a chemical engineer, by the way, by training, and a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers. So we needed to focus something that we are very familiar with, and that was chemical. You know, but when we talk about chemical, it is not just chemical in the general terms of chemical. Chemical with applications in process and in oil and gas industries. So this is where we have been. This is what we are doing. We are hoping again that we keep growing and growing and growing, and someday you might hear G.G.I not just as a service company, but as a producing company in the oil and gas. I think it's going to be very effective because it has come to a point where this country should begin to explore and use the gases, the natural gases God has given us. We have we have a lot of gases in our country, and this is the best opportunity for us to do that. So, and this is what we try to do, even as patent members. You know, we try to look at areas where we feel that the government should explore or should encourage people to explore. Because if you don't have the right legal approvals in place, it makes it difficult, even for the investor. But right now, having gotten that signed, even the investors would be keen to coming into Nigeria and looking for the right partnership. You understand? And that is where we feel that those of us who are well positioned, who are well grounded in this area, stand a better chance of having this breakfast that have been served, take full advantage of it. It's good news. I mean, it's just like when the Nigerian content was passed, you know, it was good news, and we are compelled to begin to think what we are going to grow in country. So I think that is fantastic. ...2012 was remarkable for us because we've been having awards within the country, and that was the first time we were having an international award, and it has to do with quality. And I was amazed when I was told how we came about being judged for that position and for that award. You find out that it has to do with not just you, it has to do with those you work for. And I did mention ab initio that integrity, consistency were part of the things that have kept us going. And what's quality all about? Quality is for you to know what you should do right. Okay, for example, this is a Nigerian company that, you will not believe it, has 3 major certifications in the industry. We are an ISO 9001 certified company, which has to do with management quality. We are an OSAS 18001 company, which has to do with safety. And we are 14001 certified, which has to do with environment. So put this together, what you have is top-notch quality business. And for us, these are certifications that are not mere theories. They are not just certificates. It has to be seen in everything we do. It has to be seen in the way we do business, the way we talk, the way we deliver service.
G.G.I actually constructed that road under the authority of Obiakpo local government. When I say authority, under the permission, it was financed by G.G.I 100%. And that was why the local government deemed it fit to rename that road G.G.I Close. Every year, I mean, that is what they call the Christmas largesse. You reach out to the community, the youths, the community leaders, the Eze, and do what. Apart from that, we sponsor youths competition and all these wrestling festival and all the rest. So at this we have a certain amount that map out that we pay to both youths of the communities every year, annually.
The rate at which the economy of Kano is growing, both in the urban and the rural areas, is phenomenal.
Wow! And on this note, we call it a wrap. Many thanks indeed for being part of today's episode of the EOM Business Network. On behalf of the rest of the production team, our sincere appreciation goes to our sponsors for their continuous interest and support. Don't forget to follow us on eomcoms.com. Join us again, same time, same station on Wednesday with Ologu Ekana Moari. I remain Ethel Okwala. See you then.